Trump showing no love for India, right? I mean, signaling Indian rice out this time as, and of course, allegations that Indian rice is being dumped in the U.S. Just want to play that soundbite out. We have a company waiting.
Tell me about India. Why is India allowed to do that? They have to pay tariffs. Do they have an exemption on rice?
No, sir. We're still working on their trade deal. So
yeah, but they should be dumping. I mean, I heard that from others. So you can't do that.
There's a WTO case against India
now.
Give
me the countries, if you could. Go ahead. India. Who else?
So India.
Mark it down. What'd you say?
Yes, sir.
India, Thailand, China into Puerto Rico, not into the continental U.S., but into Puerto Rico. They've bought the largest brands at retail too, right? So they have an incentive to subsidize their products so that they can keep it on the shelf.
Yeah, who did that?
The Indians own the two largest brands.
All right, then we'll take care of it. It's so easy.
Dev Garg is Vice President, Indian Rice Exporters Federation, that is IREF. Mr. Garg, good to have you with us here. You just heard President Trump. What do you... so just give us the facts first. How much rice goes to the U.S.? What kind of rice? There's Basmati and non-Basmati varieties. What is the export dependency for, the rice industry in India to the U.S.? Mr. Garg, can you hear me?
Hello.
Yeah. Did you get the question, sir? We couldn't hear you earlier.
Yes. So last year, India exported about $374 million worth of basmati rice to the U.S. And in terms of quantity, it was around 270,000 metric tons. So as far as basmati is concerned, the U.S. is the fourth largest market for Indian rice, though it is a substantial market. But Indian rice exports, basmati rice exports, are very well diversified across the world. And similarly, if we talk about non-basmati rice, so India supplied around 60,000 tons of non-basmati rice to the U.S., placing U.S. as the 24th largest market for non-basmati rice for Indian exporters. Now, when we talk about rice, rice is not an homogeneous commodity. So the rice which is grown in the U.S. is not an apt-to-apt replacement for Indian rice. Mostly the Indian rice which is exported to the U.S. is consumed by people from the subcontinent, that is from Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, and many expatriates from the Gulf region, primarily from Iran, Saudi Arabia, Iraq, and from these countries. So even if, even after imposition of 50% tariff, earlier you would know that before this entire fiasco, the tariff on Indian rice stood at 10%, which was later on increased to 50%. We have seen that in spite of increase of this tariff at 50% level, the trade has continued because it is the consumer, it is the U.S. consumer who has borne the brunt of these tariffs. And I feel that Mr. Donald Trump's statement is in line with that frustration, that in spite of imposition of 50% tariff, the Indian markets have remained resilient and the exports have continued to grow. Because, food is something which you get used to. Food is something that you need. You don't import food because you do a favor for the Indian exporters or the Indian economy. You import food because it is your requirement. So even
Mr.
after
Garg,
imposition of the tariff.
Mr. Garg, that point is taken that Indian rice is preferred by choice. But Trump's allegation is that Indian rice is being dumped. So in terms of pricing, after this imposition of a 50% penalty, how would the pricing of Indian rice compare, basmati and non-basmati, versus what is available in the U.S.? Do you have any numbers to rebut this allegation by Donald Trump?
Yes. So the export price out of India has predominantly remained more or less the same. When we talk about both non-basmati rice and basmati rice, the export price which the Indian consumer was Indian exporter was charging has more or less remained the same. However, we have seen that the price in the domestic market in the U.S., let me give you an example, like in 10-pound bag, which is the most popular packaging in the United States, was earlier being sold for around $13 to $14 per bag. This amount has now increased to around $18 to $19 per bag for a 10-pound bag, which is quite a substantial increase. So the realization for an Indian exporter remains more or less the same. But the increase in tariff has now been paid by the American consumer because it is the importer who pays the taxes, not the exporter. So it is the American importer or people who are based in the United States who pays these tariffs, and then they pass on the tariff to the American consumer. So as far as the export community is concerned, our realization has remained more or less the same before and after imposition of these tariffs.
So US rice, £10 now costs $18 to $19. And
Yes.
the comparable price of Indian rice?
The comparable price of Indian rice, you will see that around the average price to the US is around $900 and $950 per metric ton, the export price to the United States. So though this will depend on different qualities, so we can take an average price around $950 per metric ton. So if we talk about
Got it.
price,
Mr. Garg, we'll sorry, apologies. We'll leave it there. Sorry, we're running into market open, but very useful, very, very useful, the context, and we'll invite you back for more details. Thanks very much for joining us. Just